Hello and welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Stupid. It's Wednesday the 30th of October. Hope you're well. I'm going to get straight on, start actually with some things that I forgot to mention yesterday. So old news, but I wanted to talk about them anyway. One of them was the disgraced MP Keith Vaz, who's facing the longest Commons ban ever after being caught paying for sex and offering to buy cocaine. I thought it was long done anyway. That was ages ago, that was. And he's facing a 6-month ban. That's not even nothing, is it? If fucking all these jobs that you'll get, like the boot, if you get caught with any kind of drugs. In the army, for instance, you get caught with any kind of drugs, they boot you out straight away without even any question. He's an MP who sort of sets the laws, and he's one of the MPs who set the strict drug laws, I believe, something along those lines. He gets caught paying for sex and offering to buy cocaine, and he just gets a 6-month ban. Fucking, that's the job to be in, isn't it? It's like a slap wrist, and you know, it's like these Michael Goves who've come out and confessed because people have come out and said that they know of them doing drugs, so they come out and say it, but it doesn't really faze them. They get away with it, don't they? So one rule for one rule for the rest of us. Anyway, the funny thing about him was that I think when he was trying to get sex, he was set up by the reporters, wasn't he? But when he posed as a fucking washing machine salesman, that's the worst fucking cover up you could probably ever think of. You know, this is like the 1980s porn movie, is it? You know what I mean? Or washing machine salesman. The next thing you know, the fucking getting down to it and getting jiggy. He just, you know, is there any such thing as I thought it was a washing machine repairman at first. That would have been even worse, turning up with his dungarees and stuff. But anyway, he's facing a 6-month ban. But the funny thing was, he used to be on the committees that used to ask all the questions in those. I don't know what the meeting is now, but there's a row of all these so-called important people, and they're always asking the important questions of inquiries. That's the what it was. He'd be on the board of the inquiry or whatever. But he's apparently just sat and just not answered any questions in an inquiry about him and what he's just done. So that's why he's got a 6-month ban. But this goes to show, doesn't it? He's sat and fucking couldn't answer any of the questions that he's like, and he's used to be like grilling people before. So embarrassing more than anything. Also yesterday, it said that there was a report that came out that well, it wasn't a report, but there was a piece in the paper that said about that men were found to be funnier than women, and that men use humour to attract women, and that men don't like to be with women that are funny. They like women to be laughing at them. I mean, it's very vague, and I'm sure it's fucking a lot of that's bullshit. But and also, it's certainly bullshit that women are not funnier than men, for starters. There's a lot of fucking women that are a lot funnier than many people, many men that I know. And comedians-wise, you only got to look at things like Fleabag and what's that one, Game Face and all that kind of stuff. There's loads of like hilarious comedians, all going back to Absolutely Fabulous and all those. I mean, the list goes on and on. So that's bullshit. They're not funnier. There's a lot of women that are funnier than men. They're not funnier than me, but they're funnier than a lot of men and a lot of comedian men. I mean, but there's not a lot of funny men that are funnier than me. So, come on, we're setting the bar here. Some of you can turn off right now, but no, I think that's bullshit. There's a lot of funny women, so I'm well in the female camp on that one. There's a big thing on the comedy circuit and that about that, and you know, it's good that comedy clubs do make sure that they have a varied lineup, because some people, they just have all blokes, and it's like fucking, you can get a bit Chubby Brown, you know what I mean? You know, look, speaking of Chubby Brown, I've just used my segue there. Chubby Brown has been banned, has come back. I didn't even know he was still doing it, but I mean, there's a place for everybody. But Chubby Brown, I mean, he is hilarious, but he's fucking smutty as. I'm surprised the snowflakes would fucking have to be evacuated at one of his concerts. Imagine if like a load of people turned up to a Chubby Brown concert and didn't know what they were going to watch. Snowflakes would be like passing out and stuff. There would have to be air ambulance coming and you know, my friend passed out once at when we went to watch Reservoir Dogs many years ago when we were in the cinema. He went out. He got a blood scene. He's not like he's a bit squeamish, and he didn't like the blood scene. And he walked out and said, "I'll be back in a minute." And he walked out, and he was fucking passed out in the foyer. And when we got out after the cinema, he was like, "Where's he gone?" Because he didn't come back, and he was sitting in the passenger seat of his own car, and somebody had to drive him home. That's what the snowflakes would be like at a fucking Chubby Brown concert. I'm telling you. Anyway, if you don't know who Chubby Brown is, check him out. He's funny, but if you don't like rude jokes. And anyway, he was doing some concert, and he's been banned by the council when he's got tickets sold at an event. And they've said they don't want the show to go ahead, so they've pulled it, and all his fans are going, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Because if people want to go and watch him, it's up to them, isn't it? And people who don't want to go, don't go. Simple as that, isn't it? He could fill, if he puts bums on his seats and he fills the stadium, then there's an audience for it, isn't it? It's not for the councils to decide what's going to upset their residents and stuff. That's just fucking ridiculous. That's just, that's just bollocks, really. So there you go. Some snowflakes are working at the council, and I think they can put cotton wool around the fucking town. Next thing you know, they'll be having some kind of comedian with a harp or something like that on. You know what I mean? Put everybody to sleep. Sorry, but there's comedies like broad. You know what I mean? You can be fucking like politics, far left, far right, maybe, but like you can be all this way and all that way. You can be really sort of cabaret and a little bit twee and that stuff over there, and you can be Chubby Brown and fucking all that stuff over there. It's open. If there's an audience for it, let it carry on. Anyway, let's move on. I've dwelled on that one too long. Actors and filmmakers yesterday blasted Netflix over a feature that lets users speed up or slow down TV shows and movies. It's a new function that, like your TV, that allows you subscribers to watch anything from 1/2 to 1.5 times the normal speed, and which includes the sound. Why the hell would you want to watch like a film or a program on a fast speed? It's pointless, isn't it? So they're obviously watching it with like the voices all speeded up like the chipmunks. And it's for people who've got like a lot of a lot of series to get through, and they haven't got enough time. So it seems ridiculous to me, but I guess there's a place for it if people are everybody's trying to cram so much into to their lives at the moment, aren't they? Because I mean, I don't know how some people cram some of these. That's why I never watch things like Lost and stuff. These TV programs like Lost. I think that went on forever. And X-Files. I just don't bother getting into them because they never end. Once you get into it, you're hooked. They won't ever, especially like with things like Lost. There's an end. They're always aiming towards a finish, but they never. It's like they've never got the fucking finish line wrote. So they just keep churning and churning and churning it, and you don't get anywhere. And I just think I can't be bothered to be roped into that. I like something that's like concise. It's done in 6 episodes in a series, like Peaky Blinders or something. It's done, and then it's a bit more fucking condensed and a bit more quality. Then just fucking roll it out. So that's for when you need it speeded up. But then I don't see the point. You're not going to enjoy it like that, are you? Surely. Anyway, that's for some people who can watch things on fast forward, but not for me. I was going to try and think of something else. What did we used to watch on fast forward years ago when you watched the fast forward the VHS tapes and everything like that? You'd watch it like that was like fucking real shit version of it, weren't there? But the pornos, they used to watch things like that on them as well, make it for a laugh. Kids used to fast forward the pornos, and yeah, I mean childish humour. But again, that's leading back to Chubby Brown, I suppose. But that was like childish children. So there you go. And Chubby Brown's audience are predominantly older, social club type. I don't want to fucking stereotype, but you see the audience of a Chubby Brown concert, they are pissing themselves laughing, and half of them are fucking look like they're too old to have sex. So anyway, it's hilarious. Plastic Free Town has been accused of humbug after putting up 150 Christmas trees made of plastic. So that's ridiculous. Penzance admitted it has displayed fake trees despite being celebrated for ditching single-use plastics in 2017. Well, Christmas trees are not exactly single-use, are they? You can put them up every year. So I don't see why they'd need to do it though. Council, okay, now Christmas trees are only like £30 each. An actual real one costs about the same as probably less than what a plastic one would cost anyway. The size of the ones that they'd be using. So that's just stupid. But you're always going to get pulled for that, and you can't get away with shit like that. If you're going to be all high and mighty, don't try and fucking cost cut and get away with shit like that while you're fucking sticking all the council's money in your back pocket and going out on the piss. Stick to the plastic trees. That's what they're probably thinking. Let's put them plastic trees up again, and then we can have a fucking go down the hotel and have a 5-star fucking piss up with us and our buddies. I know what's going on in those places. Lord Sugar's apprentices looked like dunces when they admit that they don't know when World War II took place. The candidates struggled with their history in the latest task set by the TV tycoon. So I don't know. I'm trying to read this while we go, but anyway, they didn't know what dates it was. So I mean, I don't think they're trying to pin them to the actual year. I mean, they roughly they got the date kind of. They said 1945, which is like it finished by then, but still, they got it. There was in the ballpark region. It's not like everybody knows exactly what the fucking dates were, but I mean they're a lot younger than many. So I guess it's you need to fucking brush up on it, I suppose. But I guess like when you what are they? They're millennials, or what's the one after millennials? Zeros? I don't know what the fucking you call them, but they're it's drifted, haven't they? A lot of the older folk of all fucking when D-Day and the World War II veterans now, they're like sort of my granddad's a World War II vet, still alive, and he's still like goes to the marches and goes to the parades and all that kind of stuff. And it's that kind of, it's when that comes around, that's when you remember and you learn and you sort of research it and stuff. But I guess in schools and that, they fucking fall short, don't they? Too busy teaching them now how to make websites and all that kind of stuff. There's a couple stunned fellow passengers by battering each other on the airport bus. The Brits grappled on the floor of the vehicle before they were pulled apart from fellow holidaymakers. So they've obviously had a fucking shit flight. They've got that bus that picks you up from the plane and takes you to the foyer or whatever. They started kicking off and beating each other up. So I mean, actually, it was a bloke and a woman, so it's not right really. But I don't know if the woman started laying into him, but he was calling her. She called him a bastard, and he called her a psycho bitch. So that was never going to go well. And then they just started swinging each other around. So. There you go, Ryanair. That's a stressful flight they've just had. Maybe they were pissing each other on the flight and it's just spilled over. There you go. Hopefully they're not. I haven't got a chance to check, but hopefully they're on the way back from holiday and not on the way there, because that's going to ruin the holiday a little bit, isn't it? A tourist became the first person in Britain to be struck down by the killer brain infection after being bitten by a tick. I've said this before, they got bit by a tick in the New Forest, and I've said this about Lyme disease and stuff like that. I have to get some spray, like an insect spray, because whenever you go out on these walks into the countryside and that, you don't take it for granted that you get bit by a little tick like that after walking in the New Forest, and he's got a killer brain infection. They're not even, that sounds horrible, doesn't it? But he's actually recovered, luckily for him. But it's it's called tick-borne encephalitis. 1 minute you're walking, all happy days, having a great time, taking in the countryside. Next thing you know, you've got tick-borne encephalitis, and your brain's fucking in the danger of shutting down. That don't sound too clever, does it? So get some insect spray. Anytime you go out for any country walks, romantic country walks, the last thing you want to come back and your brain's all caved in. Lyme disease, that's the other one. You know, Lyme disease is quite rampant in like places like Richmond Park and stuff like that, so you've got to be careful. Former Special Forces, well, not all like this guy, a former Special Forces soldier has claimed the record for climbing the 14 highest mountains on Earth, that includes Everest, in the quickest time. He smashed the previous record of 7 years and 10 months. What did he do? In 6 months and 6 days, and this previous record was 7 years and 10 months. Fucking hell, that's like literally smashed into smithereens. That's like a tenth of the time, isn't it? So anyway, that's what he calls superhuman. You know, that's got to be dangerous. He's like some of them in the death zone, and he's done it like, you know, with losing oxygen and stuff like that. So there you go. That's, what was he called? What was he? A Gurkha, Special Forces soldier. So don't try that at home. He's been training for that, and he's like fucking. He's tough as nails. You know what I mean? Anybody else try that, you're not going to make it. I don't think. Some people don't even make one of them peaks. So you know, there you go. Hats off to him. Two Brits. These two are brave as well. These two laughed this off. 2 Brits were mauled by a shark in Australia. One of them's had his foot bit off, and he's like joked about it and like played it down. You know what I mean? Because he's like, well, he was alive and speaking, and took it as a fact that it was a blessing that he's actually alive. So that's one way to look at it. But he's had half his foot bit off, but he's, you know, he's buzzing and giving a, you know, I'm cool sign to the photograph and smiling. So that's good to have that attitude, because for fucking a minute there, they probably thought they were brown bread. So I think it's tiger shark, because they took the shark nets out where the shark stops them coming into swimming waters, and they've took them out, and obviously they've got unlucky there, because how many times that doesn't happen, and then the one day you happen to be in the water, fucking bang. So anyway, they live to tell the tale. A prison, what's this one? A prison was quoted £850 to have a doorbell replaced. Maintenance firm Amy also wanted £160,000 to refit windows in 3 blocks and £10,000 to fit 5 doors at the Style Women's Prison. That's just basically people. I don't know why I pulled that one out. It's a bit boring, but that's just people taking the piss out of like the budgets, isn't it? You know what I mean? If you're doing anything for the council or anything for like a prison or hospital or anything like that, you can just put a fucking stamp. Mate, look at that geezer the other day, getting paid £2,000 a day to give a consultant for the NHS. You can just make up a figure, put a stamp, and they'll just sign it off. It's all backhanders and stuff. That's what it is. You give the company, you make the figure. I'll charge you 10 grand. You give me 2 grand of it. That's what I reckon goes on. A man who lost all of his documents in the World War II that we don't know what the dates are, the guys from The Apprentice, who lost all of his documents in World War II, thought he was going to be 98 next week, but he actually has just found out that he's going to be 100. I don't know if that's cause for celebration or cause for commiseration, because you probably don't want to be 100. Also, you could celebrate the fact that you've made it to 100. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? But he's obviously still, you know, got a sense of humour about it. He says, I always knew the date was wrong, but I didn't know when my actual birthday was. So anyway, he's got extra candles on his cake. I suppose you might as well just celebrate it at that end. Any fucking extra days at that age is a bonus. What was the other thing I was going to say? That one of the, where's that thing? Holidays. Seeing the Northern Lights and riding the Orient Express are among the most sought after travel experiences, and Chernobyl also is in the top 50. I don't know about Chernobyl too much. Auschwitz is 7th. It's not much of a holiday destination, are they? Auschwitz, and you can't put Auschwitz up there with African safaris and swimming with Hawaiian turtles, for fuck's sake. Although saying that, I've actually been to Auschwitz, so maybe these apprentice guys should take a leaf out of that book and go and visit some kind of World War II sites, and that will put you in the picture and embed it in your memory. Because when I went to Auschwitz, it's very sombre, and hard thing to experience, but at the same time, I'm very glad that I went, and it was like it's history, and it's like very informative, and you're amongst everything that went on there. You can't even, everything you've heard and you've watched about it doesn't prepare you for actually being there. But there was loads and loads of school kids there, and loads of school coaches and stuff from all over Europe, and that's good because they were all being taught and they were taking. I think there was some English coaches there as well. But you're learning all about so that that kind of shit doesn't happen again. So yeah, the more you know, it's all good, and you pass that knowledge forward, don't you? Vlogger Noel Phillips got the better of fictional traveller Phileas Fogg by going around the world in 80 hours. The 38-year-old secured sales fares to keep the cost down on his first-class trip starting and finishing in London. So he went on a 3,500 journey. I don't think he even stopped in any places, did he? He's just literally gone around and fucking bombed it around and got back, did 22,000 miles. And ended up back in landed in Greenwich Mean Time. So he literally just flew around the world. It's important. It's only for a record, it's only for his video vlog. So it's good. It's good for the experience. It's probably got a lot of people watching. But that's shit. You don't get to see anything. If you go to a place and you don't get to get out and enjoy, just see the airport. What's the point of that? A 40-ton fatberg the size of a double-decker bus has been cleared from a sewer. It took Thames Water engineers 3 weeks to clear the mass of grease, fat and other materials. That's shit that you put down the toilet, isn't it, fatberg? That's grim. I couldn't imagine it. 40 ton. Fucking imagine that. That's like, where was it? In London, southeast London. It was massive and disgusting blockage, and it urged people to not dispose of oil and fat down the sink. Well, that is oil, fat, toilet paper and everything all fucking stuck together, isn't it? Oh, that must be just fucking disgusting. Who puts oil? I suppose people put it down the kitchen sink, don't they? Well, I think I saw something the other day, a copper saucepan where you don't need any oil in it at all to fry. It's perfect. So for that situation, you won't have to put any oil down the pan. So get yourself a copper, or was it stone? Copper and stone saucepan. Anyway, I'm not taking any money for it. You literally get them from Robert Dyer, so I saw them. I was thinking about getting one. So there you go. That deals with the oil issue. And you shouldn't be eating oil anyway because it's bad for you. Some people can recognise a tune in the blink of an eye. Their brain can identify a familiar song within 100 to 300 milliseconds. Researchers of a university have discovered. So from the blink of an eye, and as soon as I hear a shit song, I turn the radio off. So that's good, and I'm fucking very good at it as well. Can't have any of that fucking. As soon as Spice Girls comes on, I turn the radio station over, and there's many others along that lines. Where am I going to go? I'm just thinking about how long time I've got left now. What was that other thing I was going to say? Brian May was trapped signing copies of his new book for hundreds of Queen fans yesterday because he was only going to be there for 15 minutes apparently, but Zoe Ball accidentally said on the radio too where he was going to be. That's accidentally on purpose. So basically he was stuck there for 8 hours signing books because all the fans turned up. So it's mad, isn't it, the power of the radio? You say, so I think somebody did that when Fatboy Slim was going to do a concert down on Brighton Beach. Somebody announced it on the radio, and I remember 250,000 people turned up, and it was meant to be a small, intimate gig, and people were fucking squashed in that. I mean, I was there, and I had to go and walk through the sea for about a mile just to get away from it because I don't like being squashed. I don't mind crowds, but I don't like being squashed. And it got a bit scary, so I just like walked through the sea about a mile to get around the back end of it because you couldn't make it through any other way. So yeah, so watch what you say on the radio. Maybe I should get one of them to talk about this podcast and tell. Maybe I'll get a rush of people to listen to it. Maybe they won't come back after listening to it once, but they turn me off like the Spice Girls or like some shit music. Right, I'm going to finish up on one more thing. It takes 5,000 hours for NASA to make an astronaut's spacesuit. They have 11 layers of material and are white to reflect the heat of the sun. 5,000 hours, that's not fucking Savile Row, is it? I mean, imagine that they go through the effort of making it. So don't get putting on any weight if you're a NASA astronaut, because you're going to piss a lot of people off if it takes them 5,000 hours to make your custom-made suit, probably. It must be, I wonder if they must be worth a lot of money. I mean, I know that they've auctioned off people like Neil Armstrong's and other people's spacesuits, and they've gone for like probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds. But I imagine, like, to make one, if it takes 5,000 hours just in labour alone, it's cost a fortune, hasn't it? So let alone all the sort of materials and stuff that they put in there. 11 layers of material, so you know, it's I don't think you could use it for any other system, any other purpose than to hang around in space. So I don't think anybody's going to make any kind of maybe Kanye West will get some for his like crazy clothes line that he keeps bringing out, these shit shoes that he brought out, Yeezys or something, and about 600 quid. I mean, somebody will get onto that at some point down the line, because it's a one-off in it if you buy it. Haute couture spacesuit. Right, I'm going to leave it on this last one. A dad and son have won a £4 million deal to sell hangover cure in the dry United Arab Emirates. So that's a fucking, you must be like the sales pitch of the century if you can do that. So there's no alcohol there, and you've managed to sell a £4 million hangover cure deal, or get your hands on a £4 million hangover cure deal. So that geezer's got the gift of the gab. So I'd like him to come and work for, he ain't going to come and work for me, but come and teach me how to fucking sell myself or sell something, because that is like selling snow to the Eskimos, that is, isn't it? So good on them. And it's a company called, the drink is called Overhang. I've never even heard of it. I don't think they even sell, do they sell that in England? Overhang drink. And it's based on an old Italian family recipe. There you go. They're rich on that, and I might even think about getting some of that if I decide to go out the weekend. See if I can sort out my hangovers, because I'm suffering these days lately, I tell you that. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Going to do another one tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Adios.